Right.
And we're overworking ourselves. Like I was on a mental health leave for 24 weeks because it
Wow.
was just all too much. And all of a sudden I just realized I'm not okay and I can't give 100% when I'm not 100%. And I have, a toddler to that I need to give something
Right.
to. So I have to stop. I have to just stop. And a lot of people do not have that
Right.
the means to do that. I luckily had the means to do it. Um, and I'm grateful for that, but I can't even imagine all these people that, feel and literally cannot stop and take that time off to kind of work through whatever they're going through or
Right.
don't have accessibility to therapy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, why aren't
Right.
these the forefront? This is why I
Right.
was just in education. I was a teacher and I had to leave because it's more about, math literacy, which is important, absolutely.
Yeah.
But kids' mental health right now is they're all just it's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. So
Yeah.
that's my focus. That's where I know that I now, like before, teaching was my what I felt I was called to do, and but now it's like no, well, it is still, but now I'm like, how can I help in a different way? And so I'm so happy that I get to explore opportunities and support women and parents and families, and especially now as I studied to be a doula, just that's right. Just think of like postpartum depression, right?
Oh
So
my gosh.
having
Yeah.
somebody there, that's not your family, that's there, an objective being to support
Right.
you and your family, and to also notice those signs that perhaps you're having some struggles is just fundamental. And then even as a doula, that's not accessible to everyone. So luckily
Right.
for us in Ontario, we do have some opportunities where you can get doula services from organizations that offer it at low cost or no cost. Um, but we need more of it. We need more support. We need more, like all of this, like politics in the States, politics here. It's like money going all these places. Where is the mental health? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
How are we helping those that are, that don't have
Right.
homes? How are we helping those that don't have food on the table? There are
Right.
billion-dollar companies. Like,
Right.
are they like, if I was Jeff Bezos, I infinite amount of
Right.
money. Like how like I would hope, I don't do the research of whether they do this or not, like that you're spreading love. Like
Right.
you could cure world hunger and you wouldn't?
Right.
Like I don't know. I just can't. We're in a very money hungry society, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch the news anymore. I don't want, not to like shelter, like I do, keep myself informed, but it's just like I want to live in, like I want to be present. I want to like build connections in my community, and I want to go back to, just connecting and being happy and fighting for what I believe in.
Right. Right. It's I often will go down to a rabbit hole, right? Because I'm
Of
like,
course.
you'll read something and it's like an insane amount of money. It's not like they're like, this is on a higher end. It's not like they're like 100,000, which you're like, whoa, okay, that's a lot of money. But like, I can understand an organization putting that into something, right? But you'll hear some numbers where they're just like, we're putting 50 million to build this new parking garage so we can all be hot and not find our spots. And you're just like, I can plant 20 million gardens with that to make sure everybody always has food to eat. I can create snack bars mixed with coconut and dates, and almonds to just, if you eat one a day, you'll at least survive, right? You'll get enough kind of nutrients to just at least keep you going. But it's like, no, we're putting this money into these other things, which I understand the growth of economy and our civilization, right? We're exploring, we're all learning, but I'm like, we're forgetting the people,
Yeah.
the kids, the families, right? And it shows with the mental health, with everything. It's like, if you're thinking about the future of your company, you should be thinking about the people. You want those people to be healthy. You know who's your future employees? The kids.
And if the world blows up tomorrow, all that money is not going to help you.
No.
not to be doomsday, like
no,
much,
sure.
you
But
know what I mean? Like I can't
I
imagine what our children's future is going to look like. I can't even imagine
right. It's hard because sometimes I'm like, well, kids still have sports and this, but then you'll see something of like kids aren't doing sports anymore, right? They just want to go home. Plus, did you see those the new Apple
it. Yeah.
verse, right? So you're just living in it, and essentially it's on one side, it's like the coolest thing ever, right? That's like you can watch a movie, you could travel to Thailand right here and just see it all, especially if like you're paralyzed and you can't travel, right? Or your grandma, grandpa, you get videos of your grandkids and you feel like you're right there, right? It's just those moments can be present. But then you also picture was Wally or one of those where it's like we're just right there. And with the pandemic, I think a lot of us got used to just like delivery, right? Grocery even deliveries available. And so then it paints a very different picture of us. We're just sitting in the chair with this universe on, the food's getting delivered.
Yeah. Like even here in Ontario, like self checkout, like we're just eliminating jobs with machines as well. And it's like, I love having a conversation, very brief, obviously, with, the grocery store clerk, or we're not connecting. And that's why I'm so passionate about making sure that people continue to connect.
Right. You know what I just saw? I don't remember where. I think it was like, I'm going to say Japan, but I might be way off. But they built the very first no humans McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
And so the grilling station, the flipping, essentially it's all a conveyor belt, all the right, which also makes sense, right? There's a time if you do it each same size, same thing every time, it would make sense. And then it builds it and then deliver it. And the ordering part is also through a kiosk or an app. And it's the very first. But then how do they clean?
Right.
Or
It's
if
wild.
somebody needs something else, I guess if you just have everything out.
Right. Well, I guess you're eliminating the jobs of the servers, but then you have maybe people to clean or to maintain the machines. But like, I don't know. It's weird.
But it's tough to think about like where our kids are gonna be, right? Because it's happening. It's happening fast. Like, whoa.
Too fast.
Right, right. You know what? We still haven't really talked
Right?
about.
Yeah, I know. We
Was
could
your
probably chat all day long.
I know. But if you want to,
For sure.
we have 15 minutes, but endometriosis, and I wanted to hear more about the adoption.
Sure.
Because things I've heard is a very tough process. I went through an adoptive process as well. I moved countries, and then my stepdad had to go through an adoptive process. But that's in an older age.
Yeah.
And I've never, had to do it as a parent or anything yet. So, but I think from what I heard, is a very busy step. There's a lot of steps and there's a lot in them. Yeah. And at least in the US, it's a very financially heavy process.
Yeah, financially heavy. So if we rewind to when my husband and I met, I realized real quick that I was suffering with pain and stuff like that. So I've always had like tricky menstrual cycle when I was like 15. So I just went on birth control right away, and that suppresses endometriosis. So when I went off, all these symptoms kind of went back, came back full force. So basically endometriosis is when a tissue similar to the lining of the uterus is kind of like growing outside of the uterus and sometimes inside the uterus. And so when I finally got diagnosed, there's more advancements in technology now, but you'd have to have a laparoscopy in order to diagnose whether or not you have endometriosis. So that means they go in like a little incision and they put a camera in. And when they went in for me, they diagnosed me stage 4. They initially said that if there was anything in there, they would cut it out right away. But the specialist that I saw was like, that was way too intense for my education. So we actually found a doctor that was like the best at the best of the best at that time. So I had a surgery with them. It was 5 hours. It was supposed to be 3 hours. Basically my reproductive organs were in a ball and plastered to the back of my body. And so right away after that surgery, I was referred to a IVF clinic. We did 2 rounds of in vitro, and our embryos never survived the night after egg retrieval. So after that, we processed all of that grief and loss associated with IVF. And I've always wanted to adopt, and my partner was kind of on board. And so when we were ready, we started the process. Meanwhile, my endometriosis symptoms had come back full force, and even worse. I was having chronic sciatic nerve pain. So it's not just like a reproductive disease, it can be all over. And you'll hear more about that in a moment. So I was having chronic sciatic nerve pain. So that means like I was at work and I would just like have to fight through the pain, lots of, Tylenol, Advil, naproxen. And then, so we started the adoption process in Canada. We have domestic private and domestic public. So public is publicly funded, but you're kind of working on the government's time, and it's a little bit of a slower process. And then private is where, it becomes a little bit more expensive because you have to get a practitioner on your own that does your home study, as well as, agencies are expensive, lawyers, blah, blah, blah. So we initially went private, but then also eventually did our application as we were through the process. We did that later, right before we were matched. So we had 2 failed matches, and then we were matched really after we had finally applied publicly as well. And so